So this rich man, he hires a private investigator to try to prove that his wife is indeed cheating. Well, we watch her for 6 months, and things are not at all what I expected. Let me start from the beginning because this story gets pretty intense pretty quickly. A few things. First, I'm a security officer with the private investigator certificate, which allows me to take private investigator cases, as long as it doesn't interfere with local police investigations, and any crimes that I witness must be reported to the police ASAP so they can make an arrest. PI cases come from a few sources. We're sometimes contracted by police to do what's referred to me as spotter work, where we're brought as an active wide area investigation to do recon work and look but not interact with anything that might be involved with the case. Basically, we're just an extra pair of eyes. Or the local police will mix us in a surveillance operation and we would follow low-profile individuals and report their day-to-day activities. These are completely confidential. Then there's client contracts. This is where corporate client contracts our company's personal investigations unit to investigate their employees' day-to-day activities while on the job, to see if there's some hint that an employee is committing a crime, and to report if there's a reasonable proof that an employee is breaking the law on company time. The job is to gather evidence to prove guilt or innocence, and these aren't confidential, but we usually sign a non-disclosure agreement. Finally, there's personal contracts. When a person wants to hire a personal investigator to do a job, it's usually something along the lines of, a husband or wife suspects the spouse is cheating on them and wants some kind of proof. Or someone's looking for a relative or lost family member and is trying to reconnect with them. There is no disclosure agreement and it's up to the client to draw up an agreement. Most don't, but we keep quiet as professional courtesy. Okay, now the job description's done, let me tell you what happened. About 3 years ago, I had been hired to do a personal contract. The client, a rich sleazy snob, was apparently stupidly rich. He hired my unit. When I say my unit, I mean the unit I worked for with the 5-man team. He believed his wife was cheating on him with other people and he wanted proof of this so he could start his divorce proceedings with solid evidence. He contracted us in 6 months contract and was to pay the company X amount of dollars upon completion. So, we set up surveillance cameras all over his large house and in the women's car with the client's permission. We had at least one of the team tailgating her at all times. Good times, day in and day out. We watched their lives, and in this line of work you either get detached or emotionally invested. Like watching a soap opera. As we watched them, we quickly saw this lady was a freaking saint. She volunteered at a soup kitchen, a children's hospital. She helped with a local church canned food drive. Those kind of things. She was the perfect definition of what a good human should be. On the other hand, her husband was a total jerk. He was the one we caught many times bringing women to his house. Sometimes he would bring 2 or 3 girls in one day, and that only was what recorded in the house. We arrive at the 4th month mark, which is basically where we show all the evidence and give the 3/4 report. We show him everything that we found and have a 6-hour debrief with video and audio support, showing that she had not done any wrongdoing other than a speeding ticket and a few double park situations. After we concluded the debrief, he looked stupefied. He says, so you didn't catch her cheating? Then what was the point of me hiring you? My boss, our captain, turns to him with a serious stare, which is perhaps the most serious and badass looking face I've ever seen in that man, and said, "You hired us to investigate your wife. You're unhappy that your wife is an honest and faithful woman?" The snob is visibly annoyed. He stands up and is getting his jacket when my captain says, "Look, there's still 2 months on the contract, we'll keep telling her, and we'll meet again after our contract is up, and give any updates." The snob turns to him and says, "Don't bother, this is over, I'm ending it. Come when she's not home and get your equipment out." So, a week later we did exactly that. Now, fruit for thought, When contracts like this are made, a small portion's paid up front as a commission fee, and the rest is paid at the end of the contract's allotted time. In this case, it's 6 months. Now, pay works like this. The commission is divided up between each private investigator as a bonus to our salary. And the salary is what we get from the company to get us through the completion of the contract. The remaining balance after being paid by the client is then divided into a cut for completion for the PIs and a cut for the office. Good money when done right. So fast forward to the next payday after the contract's officially over. My unit gets a call from our office to come in the next day as there's an emergency meeting regarding us and the last contact. We get there and find out Snob pulled the funding and refused to pay us for the work. So we're getting paid, just not with the completion bonus. We all left super mad and we went to lunch and brainstormed how to get even with this dude. Then we remembered all the house footage of his dirty deeds. At first, we wanted to blackmail him, but that's low, and we're better than that. I remembered the wife, so I reached out to her. I set a date to sit down and explain everything to her. I showed her the videos. She cried for a good half hour. I think I broke her whole world. It was gut-wrenching. I then advised her to get a lawyer and proceed to give her a copy of all collected evidence and my business card. So, here's the aftermath. Fast forward about 6 months. I'm called into court as my company is suing him from fraud, breach of contract, and unpaid dues. My company wins the case easily as his lawyer's argument was that we failed to deliver the results that he wanted. But we weren't hired to deliver a product, we were hired to observe and report. We got paid in the end. I was contacted as I was leaving the courthouse by the wife who thanked me all for the evidence. She's getting a divorce. Because of all the evidence I gave her, she got almost everything. His huge house, both vehicles, and a huge cash sum. Moral of the story: don't screw over people who specialize in gathering evidence and reconnaissance. Final update as of June 17th. A lot of private messages and a few posts asked about the wife. I promised I'd look into it, and I did. I got in touch with her and we agreed to meet with her yesterday. She was delighted to hear from me. We met up at a local coffee shop and I got to meet with her new husband. And she has 2 children, both girls, and are cuties, and so well behaved. And is pregnant with their 3rd. Confirmed it's a boy. She has been remarried for almost 2 years now. After a few coffees and idle chat, she told me about how her petty revenge story went. Now, keep in mind this is what she told me, so take it with a grain of salt. She told me of how the family of the super snob demanded that they get the house back as it's their family ancestral home, and offered to buy the house from her almost immediately after she divorced. She had a realtor come and evaluate the house. The family wanted to give her $250,000, but the realtor concluded the house was nearly $1.5 million. The family kept demanding she sell over the following months, and she told the family about the realtor and his appraisal documents of the house being $5 million. So she would be putting it on the market for sale at that price. But would sell to them first because they were like family for a discount of $3.5 million. Well, guys, they bought the house with cash the next day. End a pleasant evening with them. As I'm leaving, wife smiles at me and grabs the sleeve of my arm. She says, "Wait, I never got to say this, and I want to tell you, thank you. You're a blessing that rescued me." She then reached in her purse to get her wallet. I think she's going to hand me money or something, and I raise my hand to stop her. She smiles and pulls out my old business card and says, "I tried to call you and your company a year ago to thank you, but the number on the card was disconnected. I wanted to know if you could update your contact information for me." I ask her why, and she continues smiling. "Because you're the kind of person I like. You were looking out for me when I needed it, and I want to keep you in the back of my pocket just in case." So I updated my contact information with her and was invited with the family to their home for dinner on Friday. Well, The icing on the cake yesterday is the morning, amazingly, I just got a call from my boss. Very excited to tell me that we, specifically you, have a new client who has offered you a 5-year employment contract. Apparently, wife's new husband is a magistrate and has got his boss to approve a contract for the company, with the provision that I oversee as the new captain, which means the unit I'll be running will be taking our jobs assignments directly from the court. So, thanks everyone who asked me to check up on her. I went to meet for coffee and a chat and gained a high-profile paying client. I'm not gonna lie, guys, there was a hilarious comment and I have to read it. You have to be a special kind of stupid. Really, a special kind of stupid to hire a private investigator, have your own house under surveillance to catch your wife cheating, and then proceed to cheat on your wife multiple times inside said house which is clearly under surveillance. And then, to top it all off, you don't pay for the service you requested. You know, not pay the people who had your house bugged under surveillance collecting all evidence against you while you cheated on your wife. Guys, I can't say it any more clear than that. Microphone drop. This guy is just an idiot. Let me know your thoughts about this dude. Drop them in the story section below, and we'll look at our final story of the video. Woman finds out her boyfriend's lying about everything. Pro-revenge inbound. Oh, you had me living a lie for a year? Maybe I'll just go ahead and dismantle every aspect of your life. Well, I was had. I've been took. I've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok. This is a trailer trash roller coaster and all aboard. I thought I was in a slightly tumultuous but overall fun relationship for a year. I'd gotten out of a 12-year relationship when I met him. He was so charming and handsome, I thought I won the lottery. He was super pushy about saying I love you first and defining our relationship. He introduced me to his family. His niece started calling me auntie. He tells me about his 3 children and their mother and lies about how the mother of his oldest hates him and is keeping him away from the child. But then things started getting a bit weird. His ex started calling all the ducking time, multiple times a day. They had children together, but the grandmother had custody, and the lie I was told to make it seem normal was that both of them had jobs where they traveled a lot. So they signed a legal guardianship over to the grandma to make schooling and emergency issues easier. Then she moved down to the city where we were living for work training. Then she was moving down permanently without the children. When I asked why the kids weren't coming, the lie I was told is that they need to stay in the same school district. They're 6 years old and 4. I'd say staying with parents is far more important at that age than their peer group. It was weird, but I'm the cool girlfriend, and it wasn't my place to tell them where their daughter should live. His, quote, work was in the cannabis industry. Kind of. He worked with the ex's brother-in-law, going to legal states, buying pounds at a time, and trafficking it via USPS. So when he tells me he's going to Oregon, I think nothing of it. After a week in Oregon, a lot of stories aren't adding up. Like his phone is always dead, even though he carries a power bank. Then one of his, quote, friends starts posting cuddled up selfies with him. I quickly put 2 and 2 together and dump him for cheating on me with this chick in Oregon. Okay, so the truth. After I dumped him, I made a messy Facebook post on his wall, which the mother of his oldest child sees, and she contacts me and lays out the truth. Here it is. He never contacts his oldest daughter, even though he has her cell phone. No one's keeping him from her. He owes $20,000 in back child support for her, as he never once made a payment, and he moves around a lot and works under the table, so the mother was never able to collect or garnish anything. He has a huge criminal record, starting with sexual abuse he committed at 15, and then a lifetime of fraud, larceny, drug charges I knew nothing about. His ex, who moved to our city, was his girlfriend of 9 years, who was very much still in a relationship with him. They willingly gave up the 2 children because they preferred to use drugs, heroin, and pills. There's a 4th child. He and the mother conspired to pin the paternity on another poor sap, and it's been 17 years now that this other man has been paying for a kid that is not his. I was his side chick. His family knew and played along in the lie and included their 10 and 16-year-old children in the lie. His chick in Oregon is actually his star-crossed lover from childhood, and every time they would try to be together, one or the other would end up in jail. The Oregon chick also has a criminal record highlighting including criminally negligent homicide from a DUI, where she killed a passenger, fraud, larceny, and drug charges. Well, this shocked me to say the least. So I paid for a criminal background check, which is how I learned of their records. So, how did I get my revenge? Let me tell ya. I profusely thanked the ex for telling me the truth about the situation. I mulled on it for a bit, trying to convince myself to simply consider myself lucky and just walk away from my dignity intact. But then he'd be winning, and I knew I had everything in my power to come down on him like Thor's hammer. I gave the ex all his info. Social security number, state IDs, current and past known addresses. With this, she contacted her state's child support services. He now will have his driver license revoked and can get one no matter what, no matter where he moves to, until he's current with his past payments. If he ever gets a real job, 25% of his wages will be garnished. He's now having a warrant out for his arrest in the state his oldest kid lives. He's trying to play house with his new girlfriend and contacted the mother of his oldest to arrange a meeting with his kid and his girlfriend's kid. The mother is playing nice and pretending it's a go, and he's planning a trip to visit the daughter. He will not see her at the, quote, meeting. He'll be seeing the police, and they'll arrest him for failure to pay, and he won't get out of jail until he pays a sizable chunk of $20,000, past due plus bail. I gave the ex his info the day before his federal tax refund was set to go out. She was fast enough at getting his info to CSS, and they intercepted his full tax refund, and now he has to set up his first-time payment for a child support with it. His past child support is also going on his credit report. I know the name of the business his ex-brother-in-law owns and used to launder his drug trafficking money. I dropped a dime to the IRS, so he's losing his only steady income soon and can't get a job at Walmart due to his criminal record. And if he does manage to find someone that hires without criminal background checks, he's going to lose 25% of his paycheck anyways. Alright guys, well, here's a small update 4.5 months later. Cast of characters: ex who cheated on me, Adam, his new girlfriend, Jen, Adam's ex, who helped me and got her justice, Viv. Adam has stayed in communication with Viv for the longest period he's ever sustained because he laughably believed Viv would give him back half of his tax return. Viv, of course, kept every penny and told him she never got it and must be going to an account the state set up for our daughter because I haven't gotten anything. Adam forgot his daughter's birthday, which caused a lot of drama, because only days before, Jen made a Father Day Facebook post to, quote, all the fathers who can't be with their children on this special day. Jen was trying to defend Adam to Viv by telling her that his work hours make it so hard for him. Well, his early hours on the West Coast happen to perfectly line up with his daughter on the East Coast. They just make excuses for each other. Huh. So Jen was dumb enough to let it slip he has a job, and what the hours are, and where it was over the drama of not calling his daughter on her birthday. And now that Viv knows about it, she told her caseworker at Child Support Services, so his wages are now finally getting garnished. So there was this one comment that actually gained a lot of traction, and a lot of people were replying to it, so I want to read that now, and I want to know your perspective and your thoughts on it. I don't think Viv wants him around necessarily. She definitely wants his money, for sure. But she was trying to help him be sent to prison, so I don't think her goal is one-on-one. Father-daughter time. The only contact she seems to want between them, the father and child, is phone calls and gifts. But that isn't because she wants them to be in contact. Instead, it's rooted in parental love, because she sees her daughter get hurt by his inaction, which hurts her in turn. It is beyond awful as a parent seeing anyone cause pain to your child, and it's quite natural to wish there was something you could do to take the pain away. In this case, even though the ex is a giant evil trash bag piece of crap, and she doesn't want them to have any contact with him, but the fact is he's absent, and it hurts her child, and it makes her more willingly to compromise on what she believes to be the best, for the chances of limiting her child's pain. So guys, what do you think of that statement? Do you think it's true? Do you think the reason that Viv wants the dude in her children's life is so it can ease the pain a bit? Drop your thoughts on that. I would love to hear from you on this one. And guys, that's all the stories I have for you in this video. I hope you enjoyed each and every one. Consider subscribing if you did, because there's daily videos, and I'll catch you in the next one.